For years, the world believed Amelia Warner was living a fairy tale. To fans, she was the calm, elegant woman standing beside Jamie Dornan, the international star adored by millions. Their family photos looked effortless, peaceful, almost ethereal. Interviews painted them as the rare Hollywood couple untouched by chaos. But when Amelia sat down for her latest interview, the first words she spoke shattered that illusion instantly. "It's not a dream," she said softly. "Life with Jamie is nothing like people imagine." The room froze. The interviewer blinked, stunned by the unexpected confession. And just like that, a decade of public assumptions collapsed in seconds. Amelia didn't look angry or resentful. She looked tired in a way that suggested she had carried truths heavier than anyone realized. She explained that while the world adored Jamie, very few understood the cost of being married to someone constantly in the spotlight. Fans saw the glamour, the fame, the red carpets. They didn't see the loneliness. They didn't see the nights she waited up for him while he filmed halfway across the world. They didn't see the emotional distance fame quietly builds. Her voice wavered as she described the early years of their marriage, when Jamie's career exploded after 50 Shades of Grey. She recalled the sudden shift, the endless travel, the interviews, the global tours, the pressure. "It felt like he belonged to everyone but me," she admitted. "Like our life was being borrowed by the world, and I was just holding on to whatever pieces were left." It was raw, vulnerable, painfully honest. One moment that struck the audience was when Amelia spoke about their growing family. She explained how she often felt like a single parent, not because Jamie didn't love their children, but because he was rarely home long enough to share the burden. "There were birthdays he missed, milestones he only heard about over the phone," she said quietly. "And every time, I told myself it was okay, that it was just the reality of his job. But deep down, it hurt." Her words revealed a truth fans had never considered, that behind the polished image of a perfect couple was a woman who often felt invisible. A woman who struggled silently while the world praised her husband. A woman who lost parts of herself while trying to hold everything together. But the most shocking part came when she discussed the long-lasting Dakota Johnson rumors. Amelia didn't attack Dakota. In fact, she defended her. But she admitted the global obsession with Jamie and Dakota's chemistry took a toll on her self-worth. "Imagine waking up every day to headlines about your husband and another woman," she said. "Imagine millions of people convinced they belong together more than he belongs with you." It wasn't jealousy, it was exhaustion. Exhaustion from fighting a battle she never asked for. She confessed that, at times, she felt like she couldn't compete, not with Dakota herself, but with the fantasy version of Jamie and Dakota the world created. "It wasn't real," Amelia said, "but it felt real enough to hurt." The audience listened in stunned silence. Another moment that shook fans came when she talked about Jamie's emotional unavailability during the height of his fame. She admitted there were weeks when they barely spoke, not out of anger, but because their lives drifted in completely separate directions. "We were in the same house but living different realities," she said. "And the worst part was, neither of us knew how to fix it." What made the confession even more devastating was Amelia's admission that she once questioned whether she had lost herself entirely. "People called our relationship a dream," she said. "But sometimes it felt like I was sleepwalking through my own life." She didn't blame Jamie. She didn't portray him as a villain. Instead, she revealed the uncomfortable truth nobody ever wanted to acknowledge. Being married to someone adored worldwide is a blessing and a burden at the same time. It gives you the world while quietly stealing parts of your soul. By the end of her monologue, Amelia lowered her gaze and whispered something that went instantly viral. "There's a reality behind the photographs, and sometimes, it's nothing like a dream." The interviewer didn't know what to say. Fans watching from home felt a mix of heartbreak and shock. This wasn't the Amelia they thought they knew. This was a woman finally peeling back the curtain, revealing cracks in the fairy tale the world never questioned. And just when everyone thought she had said enough, Amelia hinted that there was something even deeper, something about life with Jamie she had never spoken about publicly. Something that would change everything. The studio lights felt warmer when Amelia leaned back, as if she had finally decided to stop filtering the truth she'd protected for so long. Her eyes softened, but there was a lingering heaviness in them. A heaviness that suggested she was about to reveal something she'd kept buried deep beneath her calm exterior. People think they know us, she began quietly. But they only know the version of us that's easy to love. The room grew still. No one dared interrupt her. She took a slow breath. Life with Jamie hasn't always been gentle, she admitted. There were times it felt like trying to love someone who was being pulled in 1,000 directions at once. And every direction took him farther from me. Her voice didn't tremble, but the truth in it was sharp enough to cut through the silence. Being married to someone the world admires sounds magical, but sometimes it feels like living with someone you're constantly losing. The interviewer hesitated, then asked softly, "Did you ever think about walking away?" Amelia smiled. Not a happy smile, but a resigned one, full of the kind of honesty people only admit when they are finally free of pretenses. "Yes," she said, "more times than I want to admit." She explained that the pressure wasn't only external, it seeped into their home, their conversations, their quiet moments. Jamie returned from sets drained, emotionally unavailable, unreachable. He would come home empty, she said, like he had given all of himself to the world, and there was nothing left for me. But the darkest revelation came next, something no fan, no journalist, no Hollywood insider had ever heard. There was a period, Amelia confessed, when we didn't speak to each other for almost an entire week. Not because we fought, but because we didn't know how to connect anymore. She looked down, as if reliving the suffocating weight of that silence. Our home was peaceful, but the kind of peace that feels like surrender. The audience sat frozen, absorbing every word. Amelia continued, explaining that Jamie's rise to global fame after 50 Shades wasn't a blessing for their marriage, it was a storm. He struggled with the sudden intensity of attention, and she struggled with the isolation that came with it. He was overwhelmed, she said, and I didn't know how to reach him. So we both retreated, and that's how distance becomes a habit. She didn't cry, but her voice carried a quiet ache. Everyone called us a dream couple, she said. But dreams are fragile. They can fade. They can fracture. Then came the moment that truly stunned the world. Amelia looked directly into the camera. I want people to understand something, she said. Jamie is a good man. A loving man. But loving him has never been easy. She explained that behind every red carpet appearance, they carried unresolved tensions, conversations postponed, feelings ignored, wounds left unspoken. We smiled for the cameras, she said. But sometimes those smiles hid heartbreak. When the interviewer asked what finally pushed her to speak out, Amelia's answer was brutally honest. I was tired of pretending, she said. Tired of being the perfect wife people projected onto me. Tired of staying quiet so others could maintain their fantasy of us. She paused, then added with a bittersweet calm, silence protects the image, but it destroys the person. Shockwaves rippled across the internet as viewers watched in disbelief. No one expected Amelia, graceful, private, composed, to reveal these deeply personal truths. But she wasn't finished. There's something else, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Something I've never said publicly. The room tensed again. There were moments when I felt like I was living in Jamie's shadow, not because he asked me to, but because the world placed me there. She smiled softly, bravely. I learned to shrink so people would love him more. It was a confession that broke millions of hearts. But the story shifted when she spoke about the present. We aren't where we used to be, Amelia said. We confronted the cracks. We faced the truth neither of us wanted to admit. She revealed that Jamie had opened up to her in ways he never had before, that he apologized, sincerely, for the pain he hadn't realized he caused. He told me he never wanted to lose us, she said, her eyes glistening. And for the first time in a long time, I believed him. She admitted they were still healing, still learning, still rebuilding something fragile yet real. Life with Jamie isn't a dream, she said firmly. It's a challenge. It's messy. It's imperfect. But it's ours. The interview wrapped with a single, powerful line that instantly went viral. A real marriage isn't a fairy tale. It's two people choosing each other even when the dream disappears. And in that moment, the world finally saw the truth behind the facade, the raw, imperfect, human reality of life with Jamie Dornan, and the strength of the woman who chose to reveal it.